Yeah. All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. All right, the name of this lesson is Reincarnation / Regeneration, is real. All right, reincarnation, is something what the Bible has mentioned, a couple of times, reincarnation in the Bible, it's biblical, you know, and some people might not believe in reincarnation, that reincarnation is real, but the reason why, they would not believe reincarnation is real, because this truth not for them. All right, the Lord didn't give them this truth. All right. Which this truth is not, for everybody. All right. This is Matthew chapter 24. Verse 12. Well, so like here, 22. So like here, let's just get this precept here. Many are called, but few. There, this is Matthew 22 and 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. All right, many are called, but few are chosen. Is only only the elect we really believe this. Like I think like the reincarnation. All right, so reincarnation, is really everybody who is on the earth, was on the earth before, everybody who back on this earth, everybody who was before in this earth, come back here and now here before, right? Nothing new underneath the sun. Let's get that. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 verse 9. It says, the thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. All right, so we are not new on this earth. We've been here before. All right, the prophets are back here. All right, let's get this. This is Matthew chapter 19 verse 28, and it said, Yahushai said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, which the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So how Yahushua disciples, the 12 disciples, could follow him, because all of them had died, in that lifetime already. Right, so how they could have followed him through the reincarnate, how they could have followed him, right? Because they had to be reincarnated. you know, through the regeneration, through the lineage, um, the new generation, their seed. All right, that's how they could follow Yahushai through the regeneration. All right, you know. So this here is a future prophecy, what Yahushai was saying unto them. All right, so let's go now with regeneration. Generations. Okay. Yeah. Generations. So this is the outline of biblical usage. It says new birth, reproduction, renewal, recreation, regeneration. Hence renovation, regeneration, the new production of a new life consecrated to power, a radical change of mind. But, so they was reborn. All right, they had to be reborn here. So they come back to the new regeneration. All right, let's look it up in the etymology online. It's like here. Regeneration. Yeah, so this is regeneration in the etymology online. Regeneration, I believe, act of regenerating or producing a new, originally spirit. Right, also of resurrection from Old French regeneration, and directly from late Latin regenerationem, I believe, Slovakia. A being born again. Okay, noun of action of past. All right, so they was born again. All right, through the new generation. It has come back through 3 or 4 generations. That's when the Lord is bringing it back. All right, So that's how they'll come back. That's how they'll follow Yahushai. All right, let's just take this off here. So, let's get this here. This is Revelation chapter 10. Chapter 10, verse 11. Again, this is John the Revelator here. What the Lord is talking to him. This is Revelation chapter 10, verse 11. And he said unto me, Thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. All right, so so the Lord was telling him that he gonna prophesy again, but how he was gonna prophesy again, because when those Romans, the was trying to kill him, the Lord didn't let not allow them to kill him. All right, so they he put them Slovakia. So they put him in the island of Patmos, which he which he died on the island of Patmos. So so he had to be reincarnated. All right, in order to prophesy again. Come back to the regeneration. Yeah, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 104. verse 29. Psalm 104 verse 29, it says, Thou hidest thy face, they are troubled. Thou takest away their breath, they die and return to their dust. Alright, which the body in the grave, or the body is break down in grave. The body does return to the dust. Alright. And thou sendest forth thy spirit, they are created, and thou renewest the face of the earth. Which by sending the spirit back. So all the prophets are back here again, alright? The spirits of the prophets subjected unto the prophets. Let's get that precept. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Verse 32. It says, And the spirits of the prophets are subjected to the prophets, alright, so all the prophets are back here again, they're back in the lot, prophesying again. Alright. Daniel. Let's get that. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 13. It says, But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest, which means, the Lord was telling Daniel that, you're gonna die. That word rest, that word rest means, and stand in thy lot at the end of thy days, these latter days, so Daniel gonna come back. Alright, so Daniel back here again, back in his lot. Alright. Let's get this other. This is Matthew chapter 11, verse 11. It says, Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of woman, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Verse 12, and from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. Right, so Yahushua was saying that Elias, which was Elijah, the prophet Elijah, that the prophet Elijah, is what is John the Baptist. All right, is John the Baptist, which was high priest Abba Bibins. All right, who the Lord sent to come back and put this truth back on course, right? Who taught our elder apostles, who taught us this truth. All right. This is Malachi chapter 4 and verse 5. 5. So here. It says, Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great day and the dreadful day of Yahweh. Which was a high priest Abba Bibins, alright? The Lord, which was Elijah, which was John the Baptist. Alright, the Lord sent him back. Alright. This might be the last precept here. This is Job chapter 19. Job chapter 19, verse 25. It says, "For I know that my Redeemer liveth, and that he shall stand at the latter day upon the earth." Which the Redeemer is Yahweh Shai, who will stand in, who will come back in these latter days. Alright, verse 26. "And though after my skin wounds destroy this body," decomposes in the grave, "yet in my flesh shall I see power." So when Job said that he will see the Heavenly Father, he knew, he knew his spirit was gonna, go back up in heaven, to the Heavenly Father, So that's how he will see the Heavenly Father, to be reincarnated again. So that's how you will see the Heavenly Father. Alright? So I hope this lesson is edifying, I'll come back with part 2, talking about more stuff about reincarnation, / regeneration. So I hope this video is edifying to you. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Wa Abad Babal Shalom.